And so it's so beautiful. What was I saying about, you know, action, like self-reflection, but also action, regrouping, right? Isolating your mind from the noise. There's so much noise right now. Asking us to study justice, to continue on this path, on our path, radical responsibility. So, the second thing that I wanted to talk about is something else, but I feel like reading this card is leading me right into my third reflection and meditation. So, we'll go back to number 2 later. But something that, so yeah, so number 3 is on interdependence. And so I feel like right now is definitely a moment where, you know, our interdependence is being tested. And so the way that that I like to do this exercise is, many of you know that, I like one of my paths have been spirituality. So I've been part of like different spiritual circles and, connected to like different spiritual modalities, and I just, that's something that I love and that I study and that I'm very connected to. And also movement work, justice, that has been another path, that I very much love and, that I continue learning from and that I'm very passionate about. And so I've been playing with this concept, this meditation of, like spiritual activism, which, many people are doing amazing work, um, healing justice, spiritual activism. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the bridging of both. I feel like there's so many important lessons that both can teach each other, and I feel like there's so much learning to be done from both. And so, there's like beautiful things emerging. But this meditation, this exercise of, okay, like imagine that there's a house gathering here, right? Maybe my home, or like somewhere, and we invite, like the local spiritual community or like some of your spiritual friends, and we also invite your movement friends. And so like imagine the conversations, right? Or maybe we do this intentionally and, have like prompts, to start bridging and to start like talking to each other. So, of course, there's like so many areas of similarities, and there's also areas of opportunity. So something that I wanted to mention is, again, like interdependence. The interdependence that we need right now, that is being tested right now. And so, something that I've been seeing, in spiritual circles, a lot of people are talking about, okay, like this is the moment. People talk about raising our frequencies and like, this is the moment of change that we've been talking about for so long and that we've been waiting for, which is awesome. And it's true, right? Like I feel like this moment there are so many things collapsing, like so many systems, that this is definitely the moment to, several things are happening actually, and so I'm sure so it's a moment where things are emerging, right? The things that we didn't want to see, that many of us that have, been doing movement work and spiritual work have known for so long, or many of us that are impacted. um, and so things are emerging, right? And so there's, in spirituality we talk about, kind of like shadow work, and be able to heal fully. You have to acknowledge and you have to work with, the aspects of yourself that need healing or growth or need attention. So there's, this global emergence of the things that haven't been working for, for people, for Black and brown communities, indigenous communities, working class communities. So there's an emergence of that right now. So yeah, so interdependence, right? Sorry. There's so much that I want to say around this topic, and just like the bridging, and what these both of these communities bring. That is so much. But okay, I guess I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that might come up, in this gathering. Um, okay, and that, yeah, emergence, right? So one of the things that might emerge in this gathering of, movement folks, and spiritual circles, is spiritual bypassing, which I'm seeing right now. And again, it's not coming from a place of judging, it's not coming from a place of judgment, but it's just coming from a place of acknowledging. And a lot of the things that I like to reflect on, I'm so passionate about them because I've done it. I've done them myself. So spiritual bypassing is this dynamic where some people might bypass situations, especially when there's harm involved, and use spirituality to bypass, to ignore like the situation at hand, right? So I think that, I've seen that. For example, I was listening to this YouTuber the other day, this spiritual person that has amazing content, but basically the message was something like, in times of coronavirus, because I've been doing my spiritual work, my frequency is good. I've like been raising my frequency. I'm not afraid of getting coronavirus, so I'm not gonna wear a mask, or and so they weren't explicitly saying that they were gonna, like go outside, but the fact that they were saying, because I have my frequency so high, I know that I'm not gonna get coronavirus, and I'm not gonna wear a mask. That made me feel like that was spiritual bypassing. So it's awesome if you've been like taking care of yourself, if you have, an immune system that is healthy, and you've like been doing all this work. That's awesome. That's beautiful. That's not to take that away from you. But I also think that we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility in this moment with each other, and especially with those that are the most vulnerable, right? And so I feel like a lot of the times with spiritual bypassing, we're forgetting to embody our spirituality. And what I mean by that is we want to be in the expansive frequencies. So we want to be in joy, we want to be in love, we want to be in these frequencies that are really good. right? So we want to be there, but we start ignoring the other frequencies, the other realities, especially other realities that people are going through, right? So we start ignoring that. And I think that that's harmful. And I think there's, there's like privilege in that. And I want to go back to this thing of embody, our spiritual concepts, right? So a lot of the things that we study is, like healing ourselves so that we can heal each other, so that we can heal the earth, right? So that we can evolve and become better versions of ourselves, right? And we do that through love and compassion, and it's interesting because in both, communities, spiritual communities, and then movement, activism, people are often talking about, we want this new world. We're so tired. We're fighting for this new world where there's fairness and there's justice and there's equity and all these things. So it's like we are envisioning this world, and we're both doing things to change our behaviors and to change society and to hold people accountable, and we want to live in this world, but we need more bridging. So we need more bridging, and I think that spiritual bypassing is keeping us from that bridging. I was gonna say something else about spiritual bypassing. A very important lesson that our queer siblings have been teaching us for so long is that everything is fluid, everything. And so when I think of spiritual bypassing, and when I think of maybe people choosing just to acknowledge this one frequency or this feeling because they've done the work to be there, but not necessarily acknowledging the other ones, right? It's like you're just staying in this one place. And so a lot of the times we just ignore things that we might still be working on to heal, just in the name of saying, okay, like I feel great, my frequency is good, is high, I'm in this vibration of love and joy, but we might be ignoring traumas that we still have, and we might be ignoring again, like oppression, and all these things. And so I feel like we need more bridging, and we need just to like understand this fluidity, right? And like also I think there's also a tendency of sometimes feeling like, oh, like this person is not in my frequency, or and it's fine, like you can vibe with whatever you want to vibe, but also just like dismissing people. So anyway, I say that because many times I've heard folks in spiritual communities that I respect and love just kind of saying, oh, like activism, they're always so angry, they're just like staying in this anger. But I feel like we both do a little bit of both. So we both communities do a little bit of both. And so with my spiritual friends, what I want to invite you to reflect is how are you going to embody everything that you've studied and everything that you can give to the world, your peace and your love and all your teachings. how can you embody that for those that are being the most impacted right now? And how can you embody that so that we create a better world for everyone? So that's a reflection, for my spiritual friends. And just, ask yourself, am I spiritually bypassing this? And why, Um, and then to, my movement folks, um, yeah, again, something that I've heard from, when I might mention to, spiritual friends that, like movement work. Yeah, a lot of the times, what comes up is like people are so angry all the time, or like people are in this urgency, all the time. Um, and so yeah, so that's like one of the things. And so I think for my movement folks, I always say, okay, like, how can we um, find more joy and pleasure in the work that we're doing and in our lives? Because these things that we do, this work, there's a lot of trauma, right? There's a lot of trauma that we're carrying, not only of ourselves but others, right? And we there's just like this tendency of working, like doing so much work but not taking care of ourselves. And again, I've been super guilty of that, and that's something that I'm constantly working on changing. So how can we find more joy and more pleasure in what we do? And again, there's so much that we can learn about love. I know it might sound, but I think, how can we be more in love with what we do, in love with, like our chosen family or movement family or community, right? How can we be more in pleasure? So so that, I think that's the second reflection, that I wanted to share. How are we embodying these things? There's something else I wanted to share about bridging. It will come. So that was actually our second meditation. So reflecting on bridging. So spiritual friends, how can you embody your values and your teachings into action, especially in this moment? And my movement loves, how can we embody more love and more pleasure in what we're doing? Especially now that we're, many of us are confined to our homes, to spaces. So how can we find more joy? So let's take a deep breath. And we're gonna go into this hallway. Hallways are so beautiful. So close your eyes, see if that feels comfortable. Take a deep breath. And you're gonna start imagining this hallway that has different doors or windows. And just imagine this hallway, however it may look, it's foundational, it's neutral. And in this hallway, there's different doors or windows. And each one is gonna take you to a different path, a different reality, a different moment in time. And so you're gonna look around. You're gonna take a deep breath and you're gonna start walking towards the door or the window that calls your attention the most. That is bright, that is beautiful, that smells good, that feels good. And in this door, there's a message. And what the message reads is small is everything. So you're gonna look at this door or this window and you're gonna look at this message. It's written in different ways according to how you see it. You're gonna take a deep breath and you're gonna open that door or go through that window that says small is everything. You're gonna continue breathing. And you're gonna call to one of your ancestors. It could be blood ancestors, it could be spiritual ancestors, it could be movement ancestors. So you're gonna call on someone that you trust, that you connect with, and you're gonna work together. So you're gonna start walking. So again, it's just gonna look different for each person. You might be in nature, or you might be in the ocean, or you might be in space, or you could be at home. But this door, this pathway feels very good. And you just keep seeing everywhere, small is everything. You know, you hear maybe birds chirping, and you're able to decipher what they're trying to say. And they just keep telling you, small is everything. And you may encounter a body of water. You hear the rocks hitting each other. You hear the movement of the water. Maybe you hear or you see like fish. And you see like different animals coming to this body of water, and it's beautiful. It might be like emerald green. It's just like so pure. is water that you can drink. You put your hands into the water. You're gonna take a little bit to drink, and the water is full of little cells, little invisible light cells, and you're gonna drink this water, and it feels so good, so refreshing. And these little cells that are in the water are also telling you that small is everything. And it feels so good, so good. And you take more water and you start cleansing your body. Maybe you've been in a long journey and you're tired. Maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you have a little bit of anxiety, depression. Maybe your body is not responding to the way that you wish it could respond. And you're just gonna keep drinking from this beautiful water. Always asking permission to nature and everyone else around you. And so, with permission giving, you're gonna drink this water and you're gonna bathe in this water. And your guide, your ancestors, your person is right there next to you. And they're doing the same. They're just amazed at how this beautiful water looks, how it tastes, how it feels. And you just keep connecting to this beautiful water. And you just keep bathing and bathing and bathing. Just keep pouring water into yourself where it hurts. And each time you pour drops of water, you start feeling better. You start feeling vibrant. You feel strength. You feel clarity. You feel joy. You feel aware. You feel love. You feel like you belong. You feel safe. And so you start hearing a noise in the background. And so that's your calling to go back to the hallway. So you're gonna thank the water, this beautiful water. And you're gonna go back into the hallway. You go through the door. You pass the door. You look back and say thank you. And your movement ancestor, your spiritual ancestor, your person, your guide is just gonna stay behind in this world, in this door, in this reality. And they look at you and smile and say, small is everything. And you're gonna close the door. And you go back to the hallway. And you find a couch. And you sit down. And you just fall asleep. You're very relaxed. and you fall asleep, sleep, very relaxed. And then you hear 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you wake up again, and you're in this reality. And so small is everything.